All the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like you're here.
Bill Maher just unleashed a brutal takedown on young Democrats, and it's as savage as it is entertaining. The sharp-tongued liberal comic isn't buying the hype, calling this fresh new generation nothing more than a reboot of the same old political class, repeating the same worn-out mistakes. In a fiery monologue, Maher went scorched earth on sacred progressive ideals, ripping apart the naive optimism so many young liberals wear like a badge. Buckle up, this one burns.
For Democrats, less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia.
But that stat should send shivers down your spine. If 1 in 4 young Democrats has lost faith in America, the future's in serious trouble. No nation can survive when its youth stop believing in it. Sure, America has flaws. Every country does. But compared to much of the world, it's still a paradise. The problem isn't reality, it's conditioning. Years of ideological indoctrination have taught young people to see America not as a beacon of freedom, but as the villain in every story. And if that mindset keeps spreading, the America we once knew may vanish right before our eyes.
Leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people. America has 14 million women-owned businesses. 17% of black women are starting businesses, which is faster than white women or white men. Gay Americans are free to marry, and 49% of them own property. Yes, in America, gays buy buildings. In other places, they get thrown.
Across much of the Middle East and parts of Africa, life for the LGBTQ community is brutally restrictive. Expressing one's identity openly can lead to imprisonment, violence, or even death. Out of fear, many are forced to live double lives, marrying the opposite sex to avoid suspicion while secretly meeting their real partners in private. And the oppression extends far beyond sexuality. Women, too, remain bound by strict social limits, with basic freedoms, like running a business or making independent choices, still out of reach in many areas. It's an uncomfortable truth, but one the world too often chooses to ignore.
You think are cringe? Well, they're cringe because America changed, because we modernized, way more than most societies have. Our current Congress is the most racially and ethnically diverse ever. They're like a beautiful, useless rainbow. And we proudly live in a land where every TV commercial features a mixed-race couple, including the ones where it makes no sense. Mom's black, dad's white, and the kid's Asian.
America has gone to extraordinary lengths to accommodate and uplift every group within its borders, from the LGBTQ+ community to racial minorities and beyond. Administration after administration, regardless of party, has introduced programs and policies aimed at promoting diversity, equality, and inclusion. On paper, it's admirable, a nation striving to celebrate its differences and ensure everyone feels seen. But at what point does bending over backwards start to look like breaking our backbone? Diversity should be a source of strength, not division. Yet too often it's been turned into a political prop, a tool to score points rather than build unity. For all the talk about inclusivity, the country feels more divided than ever. Maybe it's time to ask whether our pursuit of representation is truly bringing us together or slowly pulling us apart.
Dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries. Someone needs to tell the kids that America is not the society where women basically have no rights, where there's zero freedom of religion, and where dissent is punishable by death. Our democracy may be on life support, but we still have elections.
Many of the freedoms we take for granted in America, the right to speak our minds, worship freely, protest the government, vote, love who we choose, and chase opportunity on our own terms, are the very rights people in other parts of the world would risk everything for. Yet our younger generation often seems blind to that reality. Instead of appreciating the liberties they've inherited, many are quick to vilify America as the villain and glorify regimes that crush dissent and suppress basic human rights, as if those nations hold some moral superiority. It's a dangerously naive mindset. If we fail to remind the next generation just how rare and precious these freedoms are, we may one day wake up to find them gone, and realize too late what we lost.
When an Irish rap group projected onto screens, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine," got big applause. "Globalize the Intifada" is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to...
It's honestly disheartening to see what so many young Democrats choose to rally behind these days. Instead of defending the freedoms that make America unique, they seem more eager to idolize foreign ideologies and praise nations that actively suppress the very liberties we take pride in. But let's humor their argument for a moment. Even if we accept the idea that some of these countries are supposedly doing better than America, what exactly are we aspiring to? Do we really want to emulate systems that crush dissent, censor thought, and strip citizens of their basic rights? Should we throw away free speech, democracy, and individual liberty just to mimic regimes built on fear and control? If that's the future they're chasing, it's not progress. It's regression dressed up as enlightenment.
Sanders' rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, "This is not a symbol of freedom. This is."
Everything young Democrats believe today, their worldview, rhetoric, and marching orders, has been spoon-fed to them by the older generation of left-wing influencers. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Zoran Mamdani, Ilhan Omar, and Gavin Newsom have spent years shaping their thinking, preaching that America is broken, corrupt, and unworthy of pride. Instead of fostering gratitude for living in one of the freest and most prosperous nations in history, these leaders push admiration for foreign systems that often suppress the very freedoms Americans enjoy. The message is constant: glorify others, vilify America. The outcome is a generation that treats patriotism as a joke, sneers at their own country, and proudly bites the hand that feeds them. What they fail to see is that this mindset doesn't just poison debate, it chips away at unity and erodes the national pride that once bound Americans together.
Leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great. The Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The Democratic Party has lost its backbone. It's no longer a party of conviction, but of concession. Instead of showing real leadership, Democrats cave under pressure, bending to every radical demand and pandering to the loudest voices in the room. They call it progress, but it's really cowardice dressed up as compassion. The obsession with appeasing the far left has driven them so far from the everyday Americans they claim to represent that they've forgotten what common sense even looks like. If Democrats ever mustered the courage to stand up to their own extremists, they might actually regain some credibility, maybe even restore order within their fractured ranks. But until they trade weakness and wokeness for strength and principle, they're on a one-way path to political self-destruction.
Gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that "we like the terrorists" is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes.
Democrats need to face a brutal reality. If they ever hope to reclaim the power and influence they once held, they've got to break free from the grip of the woke mob. Chasing every radical trend and bowing to their loudest, most online supporters, often their own hyper-ideological youth, has turned the party into a caricature of itself. The fixation on identity politics, cancel culture, and endless virtue signaling might score likes on Twitter, but it's driving away the average American who cares about jobs, safety, and stability. Instead of letting their activist base dictate the agenda, Democrats need to remember who they're supposed to represent: the working-class backbone of this country. If they fail to pivot back toward the center, they'll keep spiraling into irrelevance, transforming from a major political movement into a hollow echo chamber shouting into the void.
Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville. You're like the girl in White Lotus who was going to live in a Buddhist monastery and then lasted one night.
You're absolutely right. The hypocrisy is staggering. These young activists who glorify terrorist movements and oppressive regimes wouldn't survive a single day under those same systems they romanticize. From the comfort and safety of America, they shout about justice and resistance, all while being protected by the very freedoms they take for granted. It's almost laughable. They see themselves as revolutionaries, yet if faced with real tyranny, they'd crumble instantly. The moment free speech disappears, the moment dissent is punished, they'd be begging to return to the country they love to hate. And that's the real danger, not foreign threats, but the ideological rot spreading inside America. Too many young Democrats have been spoon-fed lies, idolizing nations that crush liberty while scorning the freedoms that make this country extraordinary. They've traded gratitude for grievance, common sense for performative wokeness. If this continues unchecked, America won't be torn down by enemies abroad. It'll collapse from within. The solution isn't complicated. Wake up, reclaim reality, and defend the principles that make America the freest nation on earth. Because once those freedoms are gone, they're gone for good. If you agree, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this message, because the fight for truth and liberty starts right here, right now.